If your only income is a basic state pension, can you actually retire in Thailand in 2026? Not just survive, but actually live here month after month without running out of money. Today I'm going to break it down properly, real numbers, real locations, and what life actually looks like on that budget. Honestly, I've seen people here doing it comfortably, others are struggling within a month or two. Let's start with the reality of the income most people are working with. For many UK retirees, the state pension comes out at roughly £900 to £1,000 per month. In the United States, Social Security at the lower end is a similar range once converted. And for Australian retirees, it varies more, but a large number of expats still end up in this same general monthly bracket when they rely mainly on pension income. Now, if we convert that into Thailand terms, that's roughly 40,000 to 60,000 baht per month. And that number sounds simple on paper, but here's the key point. Whether that income works or fails in Thailand depends entirely on two things: where you choose to live and how you structure your daily life. Now, this is where most people misunderstand Thailand completely. They hear those numbers and immediately think it's simple, 40 to 60,000 baht a month, and they assume that means a comfortable retirement is guaranteed. But that's not how it works here, because Thailand doesn't have one cost of living. It has multiple versions of it. And the versions you end up living in depends entirely on the choices you make in the first few months. Where you live, how you rent, how you spend, and the habits you bring with you from back home. And this is where things either work very well or start to fall apart slowly over time. Because the biggest mistake isn't the income, it's assuming your lifestyle automatically adjusts to your budget. It doesn't. You have to adjust it yourself. And once you understand that, we can start breaking down what that money actually looks like in real monthly spending. Now let's break down what that 40 to 60,000 baht actually looks like in real life. Not theory, real monthly spending. I'm going to keep it simple so you can actually picture it. So first is your rent. This is definitely the biggest single factor. In Thailand, you can find at the lower end around 8,000 to 12,000 baht per month. That's usually a small, simple condo or basic apartment outside the main tourist zones. A more typical expat setup is closer to 12 to 18,000 baht per month. And if you move into more central or modern areas, it can go above that very quickly. So rent alone can either give you breathing room or eat a huge part of your pension. Second is food. Food depends entirely on your habits. If you eat mainly local food, you're looking at around 6 to 8,000 baht per month. If you mix in local and Western food, more like 8 to 12,000 baht per month. But if you fully switch to Western style eating every day, it can go much higher, easily 12 to 20,000 baht or more. So food is not fixed, it's definitely behavioral. Third is utilities, electricity, water and internet. Most people fall around 2 to 4,000 baht per month. Air conditioning is usually the main variable here. Fourth is transport. This depends on your lifestyle. A scooter or minimal local travel might be around 1 to 3,000 baht per month. Taxis, ride apps or frequent travel increases that quickly. Fifth is a healthcare buffer. I think this is where many people underestimate things. Even if you're healthy, you should plan around 3 to 8,000 baht per month equivalent buffer. because health costs become more important as you get older, not less. Sixth is the lifestyle spending. This is where everything either stays stable or starts to drift. Coffee shops, socializing, small trips, extras. Realistically, this sits between 5 and 10,000 baht per month for most people. So if we put all that together, at a low end, you'd be around 30 to 35,000 baht per month. A more realistic, comfortable life sits around 40 to 55,000 baht per month. And beyond that, then you're moving into a more flexible, higher comfort lifestyle. The key takeaway before we move on paper, the pension definitely works, but only if your lifestyle matches the structure. Because every category we just went through is flexible. And that flexibility is exactly where people either succeed or slowly run out of money. Now that we understand the numbers, the next question is simple. Where in Thailand does this actually work on a basic pension? Because location changes everything. And I don't just mean slightly. I mean it can completely change whether your budget feels comfortable or constantly under pressure. First, let's look at Chatham. This is one of the more stable, low-pressure areas for retirees. Rent is generally more reasonable, daily costs are predictable, and the lifestyle is quieter and slower compared to major tourist hubs. You don't get the same level of inflation you see in busier areas. And for many people on a fixed pension, that stability is the key advantage. Another good area would be Bang Saray. This one is interesting because it sits in the middle zone. You're close enough to Pattaya for access to hospital, shopping and infrastructure, but far enough away to avoid the full tourist cost pressure. So you get a balance, not the cheapest option in Thailand, but often one of the most practical. Third, we have Hua Hin. This is where a lot of retirees naturally gravitate towards, but it needs context. Hua Hin is not one single price level. The central and beachfront areas can become expensive very quickly, but move slightly outside these zones and the costs change significantly. So Hua Hin can work on a pension, but only if you choose your area carefully. The key points to consider across all those three locations is not just about the town, it's about the exact part of the town you choose. Because within the same area, costs can vary massively. And this is where people either get it right or accidentally choose a lifestyle that slowly becomes too expensive over time. Now, this is the part most people don't plan for, and it's usually where the budget starts to fall apart. Not because Thailand is expensive, but because of small costs that slowly build up over time. When people first arrive, everything feels cheap compared to back home, so they naturally spend more. More coffee shops, more eating out, more taxis instead of walking or using local transport. And it doesn't feel like much at first, but over a month it adds up quietly. This is one of the biggest budget shifts you can see here. Second is when you start upgrading without noticing. For example, better condos, better location, more convenience, more services, and each upgrade feels reasonable on its own, but together they slowly move you out of your original budget range. Third is the reality of healthcare. This is often underestimated. Even if you're healthy now, costs don't stay static forever. Insurance becomes more important as you get older, and out-of-pocket spending can appear when you least expect it. So even a healthy budget needs space for uncertainty. Fourth is social spending. This one surprises a lot of people because retirement isn't just about survival, it's about routines and social life, meeting people, going out, going on trips, small habits that don't feel expensive individually but become a constant monthly layer of spending. The key thing to remember here is it's rarely one big expense that breaks the budget. It's an accumulation of all the small decisions repeated over time. And this is why two people can live in the exact same town, on the exact same pension, and end up with completely different financial outcomes. So let's take everything we've covered and bring it into real life. What does a normal month actually look like on a basic state pension in Thailand? So let's talk about the housing to start with. Most people at this level are not living in luxury condos. They're living in simple apartments or smaller condos. Nothing excessive, functional, clean, affordable. Often outside the most central tourist areas where prices are a bit more stable. Your daily routine is generally slower. Mornings are quiet. Local markets become part of routine shopping. Simple meals are common, not because of limitation, but because it works better financially. Most days include a mix of local foods and occasional Western meals, but the focus naturally shifts towards value and consistency rather than variety for the sake of it. For transport, many people rely on scooters, not because it's difficult, but because it keeps costs predictable and low. Social life is another one. This is often smaller and more local than people expect. A few friends, regular spots, familiar routines. It's not a constant holiday lifestyle. It becomes something more stable than that. The key reality is life on this budget is not about luxury. It's about structure. And once that structure is in place, it becomes surprisingly stable. But without structure, everything becomes unpredictable quickly. So let's answer the question directly. Can you retire in Thailand on a basic state pension in 2026? Yes, but only under the right conditions. If you choose your location carefully, if you manage your spending habits, and if you accept a simpler version of life than you might have back home, then yes, it absolutely can work. But if you try to recreate your previous lifestyle here, the numbers will not hold. Because Thailand doesn't fail pensions, lifestyle choices do.